Hello there. The greater number of people who read all the way through your various marketing messages, whether that's an email or a web page or even might be a video and they watch all the way through to the end, and the more likely it is that more of those people will buy our various products and services. I know a way to do that and I'll share it with you today. Hello there, my name is Peter Thomson. I'm the UK's most prolific information product creator. And over the last 27 years since I sold my business and semi-retired, I've been helping coaches, consultants, speakers and trainers to build for themselves a business and a life of choice, particularly by sharing their knowledge, experience and expertise with other people through a variety of informational products. So today, the idea I'd like to share with you is this. I'd like to talk about transitions, a bucket brigade and subheads. What are these things? Well, they're very useful devices and they can be used when we're speaking and they can also be used when we're writing. In fact, more of that in a moment or two. A transition is the words that are in between the various paragraphs. As you and I know, if we write copy, marketing copy, that is great big blocks of boring black and white text, by that I mean black type on white background, whether that's online or offline, that is daunting to the eye. In fact, because it's in a single tone, in a monotone, it can become monotonous, or in other words, monotonous. So we need to use colour to break up the page, whether it's various spots or call-outs or whatever it might be. But one way, particularly in email, in direct mail, in web pages, and on videos, is to use what's called transitional copy. And transitional copy sits in between the paragraphs and prompts people who are reading, or the person reading, to read the next paragraph. And let me give you a couple of examples of that. Then when I've been through some of these, I'll also tell you my favourite. This is also called Bucket Brigade, on the idea of this. Let's imagine that we're in a village. And in the middle of the village, there's a village pond. It's over there. And over there, there's a house on fire. How will the villagers get the water from the pond to put out the fire? They'll form a bucket brigade, won't they? So they'll have a series of people passing the buckets along. That's exactly what transitional copy does. That's why it's called bucket brigades. That's what the subheads are doing. They're prompting us to keep on reading. Here's some examples. I've got a list here. In fact, in my file, I've got a list of 365 of them, but I'm not going to go through them all today. How about this one? This is a cracker. This is a subhead. As you carefully scan each and every word of this page, ... the ... being an ellipsis, you may have noticed, and to prove it here is, a word of caution. And best of all, and what's worse, but that's not all, far from it. And you know what else? My friend Peter told me. Do you follow me so far? Now, if you can afford this, if this describes you then, here's the story. You're getting the idea of this, aren't you? They're just little expressions that link two paragraphs together and get people, by their curiosity, to keep on reading. And of course, you can use these when you're speaking, but I'll come to that later. You see, there was another one, and I'll come to that later. That's a classic bit of transitional copy. So my favourite for this is this one. And the next step is, and the reason I particularly like that is that if I've created for somebody some appropriate pain within the copy, and they are now self-motivated to want to take the next step because they want to move away from a problem, they've probably moved into procedurally based thinking rather than options based thinking. And saying to somebody that this is the next step matches perfectly with that procedurally based thinking. So I hope you can take these away and use them and scatter them through all of your copy, whether it's your written copy, whether it's your video copy, whether it's even audio copy, because it makes such a difference. I know that I was listening some years ago to a program by Stephen K. Scott, a program by Nightingale Conant. The program was called Mentored by a Millionaire. And on that program, Stephen K. Scott said this. He said, most people say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. He then went on to say, but I can. And the way that I do that is simply put salt in the oats. Now, salt is curiosity in communication, and curiosity is created by bucket brigade, transitions and subheads. If you've got any comments on this or want to ask any questions, just pop them down there and I'll gladly answer them for you or get into a dialogue. And in the meantime, why don't you go across to my website and get yourself a free copy of this book, How to Write Your Business Book in 5 Days or Less. This is ideal for coaches, consultants, speakers, trainers and small business owners. People like me and you, people in the helping industry. Get yourself a copy of this. It's free. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Then click to watch the next video. Remember to visit our website at peterthomson.com and download your free copy of my latest book, How to Write Your Business Book in 5 Days or Less. Until next time, every success.